went to my first live tennis match this year, and this is exactly what happens. You are completely hooked, locked in. Great entertainment.
This is Sportscentre.
Hey, I'm Marissa Corwin, and this is Digital Sportscentre presented by TELUS. And there was a huge one this morning at the FIBA World Cup, as Canada took on Brazil in the second phase of the group stage. Now, this game came after Latvia upset Spain earlier this morning, meaning if Canada loses today, it all comes down Sunday against Spain with the winner advancing. However, if they beat Brazil today, it very likely means Canada advances, even if they lose to Spain on Sunday, because it would come down to tiebreaker, and Canada has a much higher point differential than the other teams. The big story for Canada entering today, though, was the return of Lou Dort into the lineup, as he missed the last two games with an undisclosed injury. And Dort made his presence felt early as he cans the triple, but Canada getting all they can handle from Brazil, as they were down 3 after 1. To the fourth, game tied at 57, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, who's been a monster for Canada all tourney, hits the contested fadeaway to put Canada up 2. He finished with 23. Now, if you haven't been watching Brazil this tournament, you may have forgotten about former Raptors first-round pick Bruno Caboclo. You know the guy ESPN's Fran Fraschilla called the Brazilian Kevin Durant, but did give this caveat.
He's 2 years away from being 2 years away.
Well, it's been 9 years, and Fran looked right today. Late fourth, Canada up 2, Bruno from the block ties it up. He finished with 19 and was named man of the match. Less than a minute to go, shot clock running down. Dort drains the 3 to put Canada up 1. But it's waved off as he did not get the shot off in time. Canada blows a 10-point halftime lead to Brazil, who take it 69-65. Now with the loss, the entire group is 3-1, meaning we've got 2 winner-take-all games to advance Sunday, as the winner of Canada-Spain moves on, as well as the winner of Brazil-Latvia. Congrats everyone, you just survived your last Thursday night without NFL football, because in just 6 days the season officially begins. Now, one thing most NFL fans can agree on entering the season is that the Arizona Cardinals are going to be really bad. Our friends at FanDuel have their over-under for wins at 4.5. They're around 10-1 to make the playoffs, 27-1 to win the division, and if you are crazy enough to bet them to win the Super Bowl, you are getting 180-1 odds. But we're not sure if the odds maker saw this clip of head coach Jonathan Gannon firing up his new team, because if they did, I suspect those odds would be changing.
Welcome back. Who drove over here? Quick, let me see your hands. Who took the bus? Did you have fire in your gut? Did you? We're here for a reason. Don't get that twisted, okay? We're here for a reason to win games. So if you didn't have that fire in your gut, you better light the fire pretty fast.
I mean, I guess they better. I don't know. They better light the fire if they want to win. That's facts. Honestly, when I watch this clip, I'm gravitated to the comments, of course. And there's somebody who commented, this is what it would be like if Kendall Roy coached a football team, which is just so on the money. And it also reminds me of the way show staffer Eric Kirk fires us all up before every digital sports center.
Guys, I know it's a Friday. You gotta hop on, just get ready for the show today. Marissa, I know you've worked a world record of 3 days in a row, but you've started to mail it in a little bit too much. The last promo time you did was hot garbage. Corwin, you're getting your scripts in a little late, and I know people expect things from us. You know, we're here to win shows. We're here to win the show. So if you don't have that fire in your gut, you better light that fire in your gut.
And just a reminder, the NFL season kicks off Thursday night on TSN with the Lions and Chiefs. Coverage begins at 7 Eastern, 4 Pacific. I think Bart Scott speaks for all of us in our anticipation of that game.
Can't wait.
Now joined by our guy, Tim Rainey. Great to see you, Tim.
Marissa, it's great to see you as always. I'm excited for this weekend's Italian Grand Prix.
Hey, we're excited about the Grand Prix too over here. Not as fired up. The big news yesterday was that Lewis Hamilton and George Russell re-signed with Mercedes until 2025. Was it even a possibility these two wouldn't be back?
Oh, absolutely. Neither one of these drivers was leaving Mercedes, that's for sure. And for George getting his contract done earlier in the season and Lewis getting his done last weekend during the Dutch Grand Prix, this is the perfect thing for Mercedes moving forward. It's the strongest driver lineup on the grid for the foreseeable future at the same time. And I think if you're Lewis Hamilton, it is unfinished business in Formula One, and the goal is to win that 8th driver's world title.
Well, winning that world championship is going to be tough with Max Verstappen and Red Bull dominating like they have been. And Max can make history this weekend with his 10th consecutive win. But is this streak and his dominance bad for F1?
Yeah, that's a great question, Marissa. And, when I take a look at what Max is doing, it's extremely impressive because I understand just how difficult it is to win a race, let alone win, 9 straight Grand Prix. And outside of that, I always look at the teammate comparison at the same time, and Max is absolutely blowing Sergio Perez out of the water. And that's not me saying that Sergio is a bad driver. I don't think that. I think that Sergio is a very good driver. I just think on the grid right now, there aren't many that can do what Max Verstappen is doing. And then if you ask the F1 drivers, Fernando Alonso stands out, and he made a point to mention last weekend that what Max is doing, he feels is being underestimated. And I tend to agree with what Fernando is saying. We tend to look at a lot of, sports teams, and we really celebrate, a lot of the times when these teams go on these magnificent runs, or we see athletes go on these personal runs. What Max is doing is an incredible achievement. The car that he's driving, yes, it's great, but at the same time, the driver has to also be great as well.
Well, dang, you're right about that. You sold me. Tim Rainey, a pleasure as always.
Thanks again for having me, Marissa. Appreciate it.
And you can watch Max go for his 10th straight win this Sunday on TSN. Coverage for the Italian Grand Prix begins at 7:30 a.m. Eastern, 4:30 Pacific. Time now for the CFL Preview powered by FanDuel. And we're getting Week 13 started with a banger as BC takes on the Owls. After such a strong start to the season, the Lions have stumbled lately. With 3 losses in their last 4 games, they've fallen out of first in the West and are now 2 games behind Winnipeg. Montreal, on the other hand, has won 3 of its last 4. And with 2 games coming up against the Argos, the top seed in the East is still up for grabs. One of the things we're going to be watching in this one, though, is how Vernon Adams handles his return to Montreal. This is the first time he's facing his former team as a visitor, and he's been balling out lately. In his last 3 outings, Adams has thrown for over 1,100 yards and 8 touchdowns, which, if you're doing the math at home, is just under 300 yards a game. Coincidentally, his number for passing yards this weekend is right around there, at 289.5, and we kind of like the over. Now on the other side of the ball is Cody Fajardo, and his number sits at 240.5. It's a little more risky with Fajardo missing that number in his last 3 starts, but he did hit it in his first 5 starts of the season. And you can watch the Lions and Alouettes this Saturday night on TSN. Coverage begins at 7 Eastern, 4 Pacific. That's all for today. Have yourselves an amazing weekend. We'll see you right back here Monday.